Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be setting up my May 2020 bullet journal spread, which is my first monthly spread in my first ever bullet journal. I am so excited. I've been waiting for this day, and it's finally here. I'm filming a video.
You're by yourself?
Yes.
So these are chocolate?
Okay. You're actually going to be seeing this before you see my 2020 bullet journal set up for the whole journal, because that's just how it be. Sorry. How I've been coping with being, lonely and in quarantine is just working all the time and being constantly busy, because then you don't have the time to be sad. Starting this channel, lots of art projects coming up, maybe turning my art into physical items that one could potentially own if they wanted to. So without further ado, let's get into it. Cool, one of those would probably be good. Alrighty, here we go. So as you can see, I'm using my dingbats bullet journal dot spacing. This is my first ever journal, like I said, and so far I'm really happy with it. The paper quality, the paper thickness, the dots, all great. And you can see me referring to my grid spacing cheat sheet, which is obviously inspired by Amanda, Rachel Lee, and many other bullet journalers that I've seen on YouTube and Pinterest. Pretty much all of my spreads are inspired by things I've seen other people do, things that are widely popular. I'm not planning on going too crazy with my first spread just because I wanted to try something standard, something simple, and in the future maybe I'll try and branch out a little bit. Along those lines, for the first spread, I'm just doing a simple cover page with the month of May, and on the left side, a quote page with a very basic quote for May, because that's how it be. For May's theme, I actually didn't have a clear idea in my head on a theme I wanted, like a concept or imagery, but I had colors I really wanted to use. So what I did is basically just grabbed a whole bunch of monochromatic colors, starting from a warmish orange and going all the way to a lime green. And I used all of them, and basically as I went, I just kind of on the fly, you'll see, started doodling little plants and blobs, and it's really the color palette that makes the spread, I think, not necessarily a theme. I think something simple like this was really good to get me started. Another thing I'm very new to is lettering and calligraphy. It's a resolution of mine to practice at this and try and improve. And as you can see here, I really start out strong with the showers, but the flowers leaves something to be desired. When you are making anything creative, whether it's videos, music, visual art, illustrations, YouTube videos, it's really easy for you to look at all these professionals and people who've been doing it for years and years and compare yourself to them and say, oh, I'll never be that good, or mine is nothing like that. Mine looks awful compared to that. Why would anybody want to see my work when there's all these people who are so much better? And I am not a perfectionistic person. That's not a word. I don't think so. I don't consider myself a perfectionist. I know a lot of visual artists really struggle with that. I almost have the opposite issue where I need to force myself to put in more work into my pieces to make them more finished. Kind of weird, I know. My point is I never struggled with those feelings when it came to my art, but when it comes to now starting to make YouTube videos and bullet journal spreads, I'm constantly comparing myself to people that are so much more skilled than me or have practiced that much more than me. And I had a moment while I was editing this video, which video editing is not easy. And when I was making these spreads with all these kind of shoddy hand lettering, just thinking this is awful compared to other stuff that I've seen. And I had to stop myself because that's not a productive way of thinking. And I think the very Instagram perfect, polished journal spreads that you see most commonly in the bullet journal community, that can kind of be a deterrent to people who want to start bullet journaling. I know it was for me, because if I didn't kind of sit myself down and be like, listen, it's not going to be perfect, you just got to do it and you got to post it, maybe somebody's going to like it, or maybe somebody's going to say, hey, look, that person can't do calligraphy, so you can do it too. My point is, I don't know if I've said a point in this whole time. My point is, even though with bullet journaling, there's all these examples of super polished, super perfect, Instagram-ready spreads, yours, especially starting out, are not going to look like that, and that's okay. It's for fun. It's for making a place that works for you to plan in, and I honestly think that there are people who do want to interact with content that isn't so polished because it's relatable and it shows that you don't need to be perfect to start. Wow, that was a really long tangent to get to that point. You do not need to be perfect to start. That's what I'm trying to say. I already knew that for visual art, but I had to relearn it for YouTube and for bullet journaling. Yeah, nice. So here you can see me taking my color palette that I've already selected and trying to make motifs, I guess, that I can repeat throughout the bullet journal. So what I came up with were these kind of blobby shapes, and then in the accent color of green, these sprouts, which I thought was fitting for May. It's springtime, and the blobby shapes are just cool looking, nothing too deep about it. So basically I just let myself doodle and fill it however I liked, and then I took those elements and I repeated them throughout the rest of the spreads. I am adding monthly focuses kind of jot list at the bottom of the spread because I thought it was looking kind of empty, and then this spread is finally about good to go. Oh, and I can't forget, at the end, I decided to add, with the yellow, this trail going through the spread and a little bee saying, work. More on that later. My complete hustle, focus on work mentality going into May had side effects, as you can probably imagine. My next spread is a nice big calendar. I know people don't always like planning in calendars, but for me it's so essential. I have my calendar that I use all the time in my planner, and then I've also converted a whiteboard next to my desk into a bigger calendar so I can always see what I have coming up. I just find it so helpful to visualize. And running with the theme of, beginner bullet journal mistakes, this spread had so many of them. Starting with the fact that I made the boxes go all the way down to the bottom of the page, even though that means that the bottom set of boxes are not way longer. They're longer than all the other ones, and it really annoyed me. But we're just gonna have to make our peace with that. And then to follow, I wrote the header of May in nice swooshy letters and completely cut off the tops of the boxes where I wanted to write the months, so we had to do some improvising. It's definitely not the end of the world, and like I said, this is gonna happen, and sometimes finding creative ways to fix the problems can be more fun than just making it perfect to start with. I'm using my color palette to make alternating little bubbles for the days of the month, kind of going in a pattern. And then I'm going to be decorating it with the same motifs, the blobs, the sprouts, the bee. I don't know if I put a bee on this page. We'll see. Can I just say, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad you enjoy it. Your support of the baby beginnings of this channel means the absolute world to me. I have so much planned: drawing advice, writing advice, college advice, bullet journal spreads, studio vlogs. I want to do it all. I really do. I want YouTube to be somewhere where I can have fun and create content that people want to watch and want to engage with. Please don't hesitate to leave a comment if you have any questions, any comments, things you want to see videos on, or especially if you just want to say hi, because I respond to every comment, at least for right now, and I really want to get to know you guys. And here we are, we have reached my finance spread. This is what I was probably the most looking forward to when I was setting up my spread layout. So how it's gonna work is on the left hand side, I'm tracking my income. And I wrote April income. I'm not sure how that's gonna work for me. Right now I'm basically a freelancer. I have my Etsy store and I take commissions and do freelance work, but it's definitely not regular. So I can't exactly make a budget on money that I don't know I have yet, if that makes sense. If you have a steady paycheck and you know how much you're going to be getting, of course you can plan ahead and you can work, but I have no idea, I have no clue how much I'm going to be making each month. So I'm trying this out, no idea if it'll work, no idea if it's even smart to use last month's income to plan for this month's expenses. Who knows? Again, I'm living at home in quarantine. I don't even have that many expenses compared to when I was at school. I could have used a tracker to track groceries, art supplies, things I was buying. So on the left side, the boxes are a kind of income breakdown of all the different streams of income and how much I'm going to be getting from each of those. I have how much I'm going to be putting in savings and how much I'm putting in my sinkings. If you haven't heard of sinking funds, look up Dave Ramsey. I don't know, it's really helpful. Basically, you put money into funds, kind of like a cash envelope system without actually using cash envelopes. So you say, I have this much set aside for food. I have this much set aside for gifts, for birthdays, for whatever. I have this much set aside for fun stuff, date night, going out with the friends, things of that nature. I also added, not here, I thought of doing this later, I have another fund now that is for Animal Crossing, because when I have access to my boyfriend's Switch, you better believe I am getting New Horizons. I really liked how this spread turned out, just with the green for money and the yellow. I think they contrast each other really well, and how I have all the lines going. And then on the right hand side, I'm tracking my expenses. So basically writing down every expense I make. I don't think I'm even going to fill up a quarter of this page just because of how little expenses I have going on. And then what fund I'm going to be taking it from, so that next month when I set this all up again, I can check the balances in all my funds, in quotations, funds. The reason why I wanted to start this now especially is now in the past with my Etsy store, everything was print on demand, so I didn't actually need to buy packaging or products or anything that I needed to keep stock of in my house. It was just print with each order. I paid as I went. Now with physical items like stickers, postcards, etc., I need to buy stock of those things. I need to buy packaging, I need to buy stamps. I have a lot of those expenses coming in, so I want to track how much I'm getting and how much I'm spending, so that especially in the future with taxes, which I don't know how they work, but I'm going to have to learn this year probably, I'll be able to see where my business expenses are. Okay, I've been alluding to it enough. Let's talk about burnout. Now, I am a illustration student at an art school. Burnout is not a stranger to me. But I don't think I've ever experienced burnout in a way that was as lasting as how I felt at the end of April into the beginning of May. And of course, with quarantine and being separated from my family, from my boyfriend, from my friends, I had to move out of college early and cut my year short. It was a really difficult adjusting period. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And you're kind of expected to make the most of the time that you're given now. Editing this video and seeing what I said at the beginning about how I'm just distracting myself from being lonely and sad by working all the time, it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke, and that should have been a warning sign of what was to come. Because after pretty much a week of straight filming videos, editing nonstop, planning products, planning the rest of my month, planning my business plan for months to come, like I was in total hustle mode. And I would be doing that I had no schedule. I would be doing that all day because it's not like I had that much else to do. When I wasn't FaceTiming people or eating or spending time with my mom and dad, that's what I was doing, because what else am I gonna do? And I really thought that it was healthy and it was good and productive that I was spending all this time and all this focus on it, but I was not letting myself have any time to cool down or relax or do things for fun. I can't even remember the last time that I just drew something for fun. I touched on this in my vlog, which you can see about the end of my first school year after portfolio season. And that was another example of complete burnout. I did not hang out with my friends. I did not come home to visit. I was just working on my portfolio every day, all day, when I wasn't at classes. It worked out in the end because I did get into the program I wanted to. But there was a cost to that. I pretty much isolated myself, and then when I thought I'd be able to reconnect with all my friends at college, we had to leave early for corona reasons. And I think that was really hard to adjust to, that I was so looking forward to reconnecting with everybody and getting my life back together, and then for that just to be cut short, I never really let myself have the time to process that properly. And then throwing myself into YouTube and work and everything, it just became so much. There was a point where I was ready to just say, I can't do this, I quit, I'm not doing any more YouTube, I'm not making products, I'm not drawing, I want to do nothing. And of course, that's not healthy. What I did instead is I paused all my work. I took, I think, 2 days. I watched the 6-hour BBC Pride and Prejudice. I watched Emma. I went into a complete Jane Austen hunger down because self-care. Jane Austen's good for the soul, okay? And I just treated myself and I didn't do any work, and now getting back into it, I'm being way more mindful to not schedule myself too much to do each day, to let myself wind down at night, play board games with the family, call my friends more often, play D&D, do things that make me happy. Just because we have all this time at home doesn't mean that we need to use it productively. I saw people talking about this near the beginning of quarantine, how they were saying this productivity culture is not healthy, it's gonna cause burnout, and I didn't listen. And I thought, no, this is what I love to do. I'm going to just work all the time and not think about any of my problems. And somehow did not realize how crazy and delusional I was sounding, that was actually gonna work. I do not want to give up on my goals. I have an issue with committing to projects and completing them, and YouTube and my Etsy store and all of the projects I have planned, these are things I don't want to give up on. I want to complete them to show myself that I can. The same way I felt when I completed my portfolio. I proved to myself that I could actually do it and I could get in. I'm really curious to hear how other people are dealing with quarantine. Are you in complete hustle mode, or are you still working? Have you struggled with the same things that I did, or something completely different? And I really want to hear about it, so drop a comment and considering how small my channel is, I will definitely see it and I will definitely respond to you. Now, enough talk about quarantine and corona. Let's get back to some Crayola markers and fine liners in a doc grid bullet journal, what we all came here for. Let's go. We've made it to, I think, my favorite spread, tied maybe for the expenses and income tracker, just because I love how this turned out. This is my first weekly spread. My last agenda, what I really liked about it was this horizontal layout, and then it split it up into smaller boxes. And I'm the kind of person who likes to sit down and plan, and then plan out tasks I want to get done for like the whole week. But then as obviously we progress through the week, things change. So it's kind of nice to have a space to kind of like future dump. Yeah, on Wednesday I want to be doing this and this and this, and on Friday I'm going to be doing this. But when it actually comes to Tuesday night, to be able to have another box with nothing written in it yet for me to do a final plan, sort of. Like, yes, today I'm not going to be doing that, but I'm going to be doing this and this and this. It's also really important to me to have a space just to kind of put weekly goals. If I don't want to sit down task breakdowns throughout the week, at least to have something on the top of the spread to say, remember this week, I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, but I want to get this done. But like I said, the beginning of this week was kind of set back by crazy burnout. I ended up using all this planning space as more of a journal space. So for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was just writing down things I was thankful for, things that I did that day that I want to remember. And it was kind of converting this planning space that was causing me so much stress into something that was really positive and healthy. Journaling for the mind instead of for productivity's sake. And for anyone else struggling with a burnout, I cannot recommend that enough, because not only does it make you start looking at your bullet journal or your planner in a positive light again instead of as something that you fear, it's just a really good way to sort through your emotions and what's going on in your head and just get yourself out of the funk. Moving forward, however, I think I'm going to be trying to do a more rolling weekly style, just because I have so many like small tasks that I need to get done in the next couple weeks. I think it might be better just to make a master task list and assign tasks for each day and kind of have it going that way. We'll see how that goes. If I do that, you'll be sure to see it next month when I do my flip through. We've reached the time for the final flip through. I've never felt more like a bullet journal YouTuber than this moment. I'm so happy with how this turned out, honestly. There's not really a cohesive theme, blobs and plants and bees, but the colors make me happy. It's a space that I want to plan in, and I think it's gonna be the start to a really happy relationship with my little dingbat journal. If you want to see how I set up my 2020 spread, that is coming up next week, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to show you everything I am going to plan in this beautiful spread that I made. Okay, bye! Mwah.